hats, fashion statements, or deadly weapon? If your name is Kung Lao and you're a Mortal Kombat character, the answer may be both. His hat is perhaps the most defining characteristic of his, and it alone is perhaps enough to define him as an icon in fighting games. But as it is in real life, a person is more than their fashion statements. We'll dive deeper into the character of the bladed hat with the full story of Kung Lao. Hold on to your hats if you have one. Kung Lao is a Shaolin monk, a member of the White Lotus Society, a group to which Raiden and Liu Kang also belong. The White Lotus Society is a highly disciplined and hand-chosen group of warriors who pursue the defense of Earthrealm. Kung Lao shares the name of the great Kung Lao, a warrior who successfully defended Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat tournaments many years ago. Generally, however, he doesn't share the same bloodlust that others would seem to have. Kung Lao is often motivated to fight for peace or to prove himself rather than fighting specifically against evil per se. Before continuing, it is worth noting that there are two continuities in Mortal Kombat mythology, the Midway continuity and the Netherrealm continuity. The Midway continuity is comprised of games that have been developed by the now defunct Midway Games, the original developers of the Mortal Kombat series. The Netherrealm continuity is comprised of games developed by Netherrealm Studios, the current developers of the Mortal Kombat series. Before starting with Kung Lao's role in the Midway continuity, it is worth delving into some history about the Mortal Kombat tournaments themselves. The Mortal Kombat tournaments were a system of arbitrating invasions between realms that were at war with each other constantly. It was decreed by them that should any one realm win 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat challenges against another realm, the victor would have the right to invade the defeated realm. The great Kung Lao was a champion in Mortal Kombat tournaments on behalf of Earthrealm, until his defeat and death at the hands of Goro from Outworld. The Outworld is a realm generally associated with villains and frequently seeks to invade other realms, including Earthrealm, while Earthrealm itself generally seeks warriors for its defense against invasion. Kung Lao belongs to the same White Lotus Society that Liu Kang and Raiden belong to, and would have otherwise participated in the first Mortal Kombat tournament, but declined. Thankfully, Liu Kang participated and won the tournament. Kung Lao became more active in Mortal Kombat 2, his first playable appearance. The Shaolin temples at which Liu Kang and Kung Lao trained were attacked by Baraka and a mass of Tarkatan soldiers. Kung Lao wanted to train more warriors through the White Lotus Society by the end of Mortal Kombat 2, but his plans were interrupted when Shao Kahn invaded Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat 3. Shao Kahn had planned to kill heroes by sending assassination squads their way, but Kung Lao himself was confronted by Shao Kahn directly, and he nearly died to Shao Kahn. Kung Lao's near-death experience motivated Liu Kang to defeat Shao Kahn once more. During Mortal Kombat 4, Kung Lao went into hiding, seeking to live a life of peace, but eventually he was drawn into the fight against Shinnok. Kung Lao also later fought against Goro, the warrior who killed the great Kung Lao. After Shinnok's defeat in this game, Kung Lao and Goro fight, and with the Edenian Princess Kitana's help, a peace treaty is signed with Goro. Kung Lao himself also makes peace with Goro after their bout, but Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, the fifth game in the continuity, marks a sharp turn for Kung Lao. Liu Kang is slain by the combined efforts of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi, and Kung Lao this time is driven to fight, full of rage. He is trained by Bo Rai Cho to prepare himself to fight the terrible twosome, but ultimately is slain by them, along with a few other heroes including Jax, Sonya, Johnny Cage, and Kitana. Kung Lao is MIA in the next game, Mortal Kombat Deception, until Ermac and the spirits of Liu Kang revive the heroes who perished fighting the Deadly Alliance. In the last game in the Midway continuity, Mortal Kombat Armageddon, Kung Lao allies with Fujin to fully revive Liu Kang and Raiden. The body separated from Liu Kang's soul attacks indiscriminately, and Raiden himself has become corrupted through his many struggles against Outworld. Kung Lao ultimately allies with the forces of light at the end of the game to fight against the forces of darkness in the Battle of Armageddon. By the time this war is waged, Liu Kang is not fully revived, but Raiden fights on the side of the heroes. And so Kung Lao perishes, as do the rest of the heroes, and Raiden, who finally came to his senses at the end of Armageddon, sends the information gathered from this continuity to a past self so that he may make different choices that ensure victory for the heroes. This is the foundation for the Netherrealm continuity, and it starts with Mortal Kombat 2011's portrayal of the first Mortal Kombat tournament. Unlike the Midway continuity, Liu Kang is chosen first to represent the Shaolin monks instead of Kung Lao. In this game, Kung Lao is generally portrayed as wanting to prove his worth in comparison to Liu Kang, and first appears during Scorpion's Story Mode chapter. Kung Lao manages to sneak into the first tournament disguised as one of Shang Tsung's guards. Raiden calls him out, saying that he is not Liu Kang's equal. Kung Lao challenged Scorpion in a bid to prove his ability, but lost. Despite the sore spot for his ego, Kung Lao supports Liu Kang as he eventually wins the first Mortal Kombat tournament, and is part of the celebrations for Earthrealm at the Wuxi Academy. Less than a day since the celebrations, and the temple is attacked per Shang Tsung's orders, who demands another Mortal Kombat tournament. Raiden rejects this at first, but later relents. After halting the invasion from Shang Tsung, Raiden then asks Kung Lao and Liu Kang to address their Shaolin masters, while Raiden and the other recently assembled heroes participate in tournament matches and conduct other business. Kung Lao and Liu Kang are seen conversing with Jade and Raiden's group of heroes, with some new allies in tow. Jade informs them of Kitana's capture and scheduled execution, which enrages Liu Kang. Jade's direction leads the two Shaolin warriors to Shao Kahn's fortress and the start of Kung Lao's Story Mode chapter. After a joke at Liu Kang's expense, the two monks are confronted by Noob Saibot and Shiva, who are aligned with Shao Kahn. Kung Lao fights and defeats Noob Saibot, but not without observing a familiarity in his presence. Somehow he was able to sense that Noob Saibot was actually Bi-Han, the Sub-Zero he met earlier in the game. After Liu Kang defeats Shiva, Goro appears and Kung Lao fights and defeats him. The two monks demand answers about Kitana's whereabouts. Goro directs them to the Colosseum at which more tournament matches are being held, and taunts them by saying she's probably already dead. This pisses off Liu Kang, but Kung Lao tells him to pause, as there may still be time to save her, and he would rather Liu Kang didn't get caught up with Goro's taunts. If you notice, Kung Lao often tends to soften Liu Kang's edges. Liu Kang and Kung Lao make their way to the Colosseum and regroup with Raiden and company. Smoke and Johnny Cage are defeated, and Jax and Sonya have left after Jax's arms were torn off, leaving Raiden and the side of Earthrealm with limited options to send in for fighting. Liu Kang spites Raiden's direction and vague premonitions about the meaning of "he who must win," a phrase that Raiden doesn't quite know the meaning of, and decides to tend to Kitana. This leaves only Kung Lao, who briefly hopes for Raiden's approval after silently volunteering himself. Kung Lao manages to defeat a tag team of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi at once before taking on Kintaro. Impressive on its own, Kung Lao is pleased with himself and taunts the Outworld audience, before Shao Kahn suddenly appears behind him and snaps his neck, dissatisfied with Kung Lao's victory and attitude. This enrages Liu Kang further, and Liu Kang fights and defeats Shao Kahn on the spot, nearly killing him. Kung Lao was not able to congregate with the growing number of heroes until much later in the story mode, after many of them were also killed, but by Sindel. We see Kung Lao instead as a revenant along with the other heroes, under the service of Quan Chi. In Raiden's Story Mode chapter, Kung Lao is a part of a gauntlet of revenant heroes that Raiden must defeat when he visits Quan Chi's lair, and this closes his role in Mortal Kombat 2011. Kung Lao does appear as a revenant in Mortal Kombat 10 as a playable character without a Story Mode chapter. Additionally, his cousin Kung Jin is also playable and has his own Story Mode chapter. Kung Jin is a part of a 4-person team of heroes assembled under the guidance of Johnny Cage. Meanwhile, Kung Lao still serves Quan Chi, his soul under the ownership of the sorcerer. That Kung Lao is a revenant is a source of resentment for Kung Jin against Raiden. Kung Lao does appear in a flashback sequence in Raiden's Story Mode chapter, which goes back to the time of the Wuxi Academy being attacked. Kung Lao is filled with rage because one of his masters was killed, but Raiden steadies him before taking reckless action. Kung Lao and Liu Kang take care of the invading Tarkatans at a shipyard, and are instructed by Raiden to fight in tournament matches later once the Shaolin monks are rescued. But outside of flashbacks, Kung Lao is mostly relegated to being a passive supporter and defender of Quan Chi, sometimes an opponent in other characters' story modes. He, along with the other revenants, are unable to prevent Quan Chi's capture by the Special Forces, and when Quan Chi later dies, though not without successfully summoning Shinnok, Kung Lao pledges allegiance to Shinnok. The game's climax and last chapters involve Shinnok attempting to fully corrupt the Jinsai Chamber, the life force of Earthrealm. During this time, Kung Lao and Raiden fight. When Raiden says that Kung Lao only serves Shinnok because of his death by Shao Kahn, Kung Lao claims that it is Raiden's fault, but Raiden eventually wins this battle. Kung Lao is among the Revenants, but they are stalled by Jackie and Takeda before they can further pursue. It is not long at this point before Shinnok dies by Cassie Cage, and with this, Kung Lao and the other Revenants retreat. The story in Mortal Kombat 10 is closed. Kung Lao's Netherrealm path clearly went where it shouldn't have. The tragedy is that in his best moment, Shao Kahn killed him, and now he's a Revenant. But few characters make sense to be redeemed in the way that Kung Lao does in the upcoming Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11 is founded on both time travel and the concept of characters' past selves encountering their current selves. Kung Lao is already seen in recent promotional media expressing disgust at the idea of becoming a Revenant. And that concludes our video on the full story of Kung Lao. Kung Lao is a character who, despite his ability, never has a straightforward path in the world of Mortal Kombat. When he seeks peace, he is called to fight. When he seeks glory, it is taken from him. Nevertheless, Kung Lao has a great design and is an excellent example of a hero continuously struggling to define his place on his terms. Tell us what you think of Kung Lao in the comment section below. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.